The reality TV show producer accused of murdering his wife in Mexico. Bruce Beresford-Redman slipped back into the United States without telling the Mexican authorities. So what happens now to the case? Here's ABC's Nir Kolinsky with more.
Even though Mexican authorities had seized his passport and considered him a person of interest in his wife's death in Cancun, TV producer Bruce Beresford-Redman made his way home to Los Angeles this weekend.
I haven't seen him since they said that he was in Mexico. I haven't seen him at all.
But there was no sight of him at the house he used to share with his wife and 2 children in upscale Palos Verdes. It's been more than 6 weeks since his wife Monica was found dead at the Moon Palace Resort in Cancun, Mexico, while the couple was vacationing. His lawyer tells ABC News he has returned to Los Angeles County to be with his children and to attend to family and personal matters. He has been informed he has no legal obligation to remain in Mexico, pending an investigation into his wife's tragic death. Even though he hasn't been charged with a crime, Monica's sisters are petitioning for guardianship of the kids. Mexican law enforcement never arrested Bruce, even though they questioned him back in April. The Attorney General in charge of the investigation in Mexico told us that he finds Bruce's disappearance, quote, suspicious, and noted that this past Friday the state received key DNA evidence from Monica's body, which could enable them to make an arrest in a matter of days. For Good Morning America, Nir Kolinsky, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And we're joined now by former Los Angeles County Prosecutor Robin Sachs and criminal defense attorney Roy Black. Good morning to you both, and thanks for being here. Robin, I'd like to start with you, if I may. Mexican authorities had asked Beresford-Redman to stay in Mexico, saying, quote, it would be a very delicate and serious matter if he returned to the United States. But bottom line, they couldn't stop him.
They certainly weren't able to stop him via legal obligation, but his lack of presence in Mexico and having no one having spot him here in Los Angeles County yet certainly goes to show consciousness of guilt.
Roy, how did he get back into the United States without his passport? He surrendered that to Mexican authorities earlier.
Well, as you know, it's probably not that difficult getting across the Mexican-American border. But let's take a look at this. It certainly doesn't look good that he didn't stay in Mexico, but when you know the Mexican police with their history of extortion, bribery, blackmail, murder, covering up crimes, working for drug dealers, you know, a sane person probably wouldn't want to hang around.
Robin, it does sound like it's been 8 weeks and no charges have been filed. Mexican authorities may be having some trouble with this case.
Well, it is pretty atrocious that charges haven't been filed. Frankly, if it was here in the United States with the requirement of probable cause, there has been ample probable cause. I mean, here you have witnesses who saw fighting that was going on. We have strangulation. We have no other suspects. We don't show that Monica left the property. And we know that she was murdered on the property and there was ruckus and noise there. Who else was it? It is atrocious that the charges haven't been fired. And now with this new element, we're going to see not only a criminal battle, but we're going to see an extradition battle coming down along the way, too.
That's absolutely correct. There is an extradition treaty between Mexico and the United States. Roy, how does that work?
Well, Mexico will have to petition the State Department, who will then go to the authorities in Los Angeles, have them arrested. There'll be hearings in federal court to determine whether or not there's sufficient evidence under the treaty to send them back to Mexico. There's certainly a lot of circumstantial evidence here, but what direct evidence is there that he committed the murder? So there's still that missing link.
Robin, the victim's sisters in this case have asked the FBI to join this investigation. The FBI has offered its assistance. Given the fact that this is an American citizen, the main suspect in this murder, and an American citizen, the victim in this murder, why isn't the Mexican government accepting this aid, given the fact that the investigation seems to be stalled?
Well, one can only speculate as to why the Mexican government is not accepting in open arms, frankly, the help of the FBI, considering how much scrutiny there already is in this case. However, it is up to Mexico to be able to say, here, come on in. And we have seen other cases, you know, we look at the Natalie Holloway case where other countries have been slow to the punch to take assistance from the FBI.
Bruce Beresford-Redman does have a very legitimate motive for wanting to return home to California, and that would be his 2 young children. The couple had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. They have been staying with his parents, and there's a hearing going on this week for temporary custody because the victim's sisters, the children's aunts, are fighting to get custody of the kids. At this point, since he has not been arrested or formally charged with a crime, doesn't he have every right as a father to have his children?
Oh, I think there's no doubt about that. Where's the direct evidence that he has committed a crime and that he is not able to be a proper parent? I mean, they'd have to have some more evidence than him being a mere suspect in this crime.
Robin?
Well, actually, if you look at the family court and the probate court, you don't have the same standard of proof as you do in the criminal courts of beyond a reasonable doubt. You can't inherit under the Slayer statute someone who you feloniously took from or actually intended to kill. So the standard of proof is a lot lower, and there could his position as sole suspect could actually affect his ability to get custody.
And
yeah,
Roy,
doesn't there have to be some evidence, though? I mean, we have all the suspicion, that they were having all these problems and there was yelling and what have you, but still, there's nothing to show this man committed the crime. I don't think we can presume him guilty.
evidence of domestic violence, in other words, is not evidence of murder.
Well, they didn't prove domestic violence either. They had an argument and people heard loud voices, but that's the sole evidence that we've heard so far.
And finally, Roy, Mexican authorities were very honest about wanting to wait until the DNA evidence came in before they took any further steps. That evidence has now come in fact, just within the last couple of days. What were they waiting for, and why might this be important to forwarding the case?
Well, we don't really know that because since obviously he's very close to his wife, it would not be surprising to have his DNA on her body. However, you'd want to see if there's any blood or anything under her fingernails or things like that that might show a fight between the two of them. I think that would be pretty damning evidence if they came up with that.
All right. Roy Black, Robin Sachs, thank you so much this morning for joining us with the latest twist in this very, very unusual case.
Thank you.